A lecture like this would not be complete if we don't make a reference to the New York Times, right? The New York Times produces some of the best infographics, data journalism, and visualization, not only in the United States, but in the world. One of my favorite visualizations about the Times is this one. This is actually quite old. This comes from 2009, 7 years old or something like that. That is considered old already in the online world. By the way, this one will not work if you see this video or these graphics through your through an iPad or an iPhone, because this graphic was produced with a software tool called Flash that is not supported by Apple devices, but it will work in your computer. So this graphic summarizes what Americans do throughout the day. The x-axis represents time from 4 a.m., 6 a.m., 9 a.m., noon, 3 p.m., 6 p.m. until night. The x-axis is the percentage of the population that is doing something. And then each one of the segments that you see over here corresponds to an activity, like work, watching TV, eating, etc. The area, the size of the area of each portion is proportional to the percentage of Americans who are working, for example. The work area, clearly we can see that at the beginning of the day, just a very, very tiny amount of Americans are working. But as soon as we start moving closer to the middle of the day, 33 or 34% of Americans are working. And then there's a decrease in that percentage in the middle of the day because people are having lunch. Then it increases again, and then it decreases again at the end of the day because people are going back home and going to sleep, or first of all, watching some movies or being with the family. And we can also see that pattern in the sleeping. There's a lot of people sleeping at the beginning of the day, and then down here, over here, we have a lot of people sleeping at the end of the day, right? So in this chart, which is it's a stacked area chart, everything adds up to 100% of Americans. There are several filters here. You can click here so you can see employed people versus unemployed people. You can also see ages, so from 15 to 24, 25 to 64, or older people, etc. So you can filter the data in multiple ways. But my favorite feature of this visualization is this. The graphic over here gives you a very good overview of what all Americans are doing throughout the day. But if you're interested in seeing very accurately the variation of a single category, for instance, if you want to see, going back to the work category, if you want to accurately see what percentage of Americans are actually working, you need to hover over each one of the segments. It's really, really difficult to see the variation of work because the work area, the size of that area depends not only on the percentage of Americans who are working, but its baseline depends on how tall or how short the other areas really are. So what you need to estimate, what you need to pay attention to estimate the size of the work area is not just the upper edge of that segment. It is the distance between this point and that point, this point and that point, this point and that point. And that is really, really hard to do. So, very wisely, in my opinion, the designers of this piece decided to do this. First of all, you can take a look at all the data together, all the variables, all the categories together, just to get a very good overview of the data. But then, whenever you click on any of these areas, that particular area drops down to the baseline, to the zero baseline, so you can get a very accurate picture of the variation of that particular category. This is an example of a principle that I try to explain to my students every semester at the University of Miami. Sometimes, actually very often, it is not enough to represent your data just once. You will need to represent your data more than once because each one of these graphics lets you do something different with the data. This particular one lets you see very accurately the variation of one category, and the first graphic lets you see, lets you get an overview of the data. None of those graphics, neither of those graphics, can accomplish both tasks equally well. So whenever it is possible, we could give people the opportunity to visualize the data in multiple ways, as charts, in some cases as maps, as tables, etc., etc. The last project that I would like, it's actually not a project, it's a set of projects. The last website that I would like to recommend that you visit is gapminder.org. Now, Gapminder is a website of Hans Rosling. Hans Rosling is a professor of global health in Sweden, and Gapminder is a foundation that he created a number of years ago. Hans Rosling is one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most effective presenters of data that I have ever seen. You can see many of his lectures in the videos section of his website. If you click on there, you will see tons of lectures that he has given throughout the years. I would encourage you to see them because you will see how fun he can be, how engaging he can be when he explains complex data to the public. If you ever have had trouble imagining how you should present complex results to stakeholders or to a particular audience, I think that Hans Rosling can be a great inspiration for you. At least he was a great inspiration for me. I actually interviewed him for my first book, The Functional Art, and it was a lot of fun to speak with him. It was also an honor to speak with him for a couple of hours over the phone. Anyway, in gapminder.org, you can also see a tool that Rosling, in collaboration with part of his family, created years ago called a Gapminder World. It's a tool that lets you, it also needs Flash, okay, so it will not work on an iPhone or on an iPad. It lets you explore data coming from the United Nations and also from the World Bank, if I am not wrong, open data coming from those organizations. So the graphic is still loading, but what will happen is that what will appear over here eventually is a scatter plot. I'm actually going to click on this link and see if it works. Or actually, it's telling me that the script in this movie is causing the Flash player to go to work too slowly, to run too slowly. So let me just click on that and see what happens. So what will happen is that we will see a scatter plot comparing two different variables that we can change. On the x-axis, for example, we could have life expectancy, and then on the y, well, here we have on the x-axis we have income per person on the x-axis, and up here we have another variable. This is life expectancy in years. These variables can change. Okay, so you can there are ways of changing that variable just by clicking on it, I believe. And you can see, actually, this is not, oh, there you go. So I can click on the variable and it lets me change. I don't know what I did over here. Just click on something. Let me just reload this. So you can click on the axis and change that. Instead of life expectancy, you can change that to, for example, wealth, or to a percentage of women who are part of the workforce. So the tool lets you compare some variables to other variables. And there's actually there can also be a third variable encoded in the data. For example, you can see that the bubbles are proportional to something. That something is population. The larger the bubble, the bigger the population. And time is also encoded. So right now we are seeing 2015, but if we click on play, we will see the variation of the data. So that's 1807 or 1815. So we can see how the bubbles move. We can just move around the timeline just by clicking here and here. There are also search tools and filters that you can use. For example, the size is the size of the bubbles. Instead of being population, we could encode any other data just by clicking on this drop-down menu and say, for example, when I don't want to see population, I want to see how much CO2 each person in those countries is emitting, all right? And the size of the bubble will be proportional to that particular variable. As you can see, the bubbles change completely. The color, by the way, encodes the region of the region of the world, that we are, that each country belongs to. I think that it's a fun tool to play with. You can spend hours and hours just comparing one variable to another variable. Again, if you click on that, you will get a drop-down menu that will let you select any other variable on the y-axis, and then down here any other variable on the data set on the x-axis. So try to spend some time with it. I believe that you are going to have a lot of fun.